Alrighty, guys. Good afternoon. I'm Brian, joined today with Caleb. Going to do a briefing here for our expected snowfall across Indiana and beyond. This stream focuses on Indiana. We'll talk about the region here briefly as well in terms of what to expect with snowfall. Let's go ahead and dive in. So, if you guys have not heard, we have some snow incoming late tonight into early Friday morning. It's not going to be another significant event of a foot or more of snow. No, we're not talking like that. We're talking a few inches, 1 to as much as 6 inches or so in spots. Let's go ahead and dive into the model here. This is the HRRR short-term resolution guidance, goes out 48 hours in advance. This is your future radar here. Through tonight, we're quiet across the Great Lakes region, but by early Friday morning, 2 a.m. or so, we're seeing our first snowflakes out here in Illinois and Missouri, pushing up our direction into Indiana and Michigan here, roughly around that 5 to 6 a.m. timeframe. Could start seeing our first flakes into the western part of Indiana. And then as that continues into Friday morning, that continues to move northeastward, overspreading all of Indiana here by Friday around noon. This continues pretty much all day Friday with the heaviest. Notice the darker blue colors down here toward the Ohio River. Further north here, some lighter colors across Michigan, central and northern Indiana as well. This will continue moving eastward, and then it'll exit the state late Friday night into early Saturday. This model right here is midnight Friday night / Saturday morning. This should be out, and then some lake effect snow potentially up here for our lake effect belts across northwest Indiana and southwest Michigan. In terms of snowfall amounts, according to the model, we have a forecast out. We'll go ahead and take a peek at the model here just to give you guys an idea of what to expect. This is the Kuchera method. Go ahead and pop this back out. Run this through the time frame here. I gotta go back to the 12Z or 18Z. There we go. This is what the model thinks what's going to happen in terms of snowfall accumulation. So our first accumulation begins roughly by sunrise Friday morning, tomorrow morning up there in northwest Indiana. And then the heaviest moves in here across the Indiana region Friday afternoon and evening, reaching a couple inches by the time when all is said and done. We get accumulation totals down here further towards Evansville, right around 4 inches or so. But if we go up here toward Indianapolis, it says right around 3.5 inches. And further north, same thing applies, 3 or so inches of snow. Further northwest towards Gary, Lafayette areas may be a little bit less overall. Keep that in mind. The further north and west you go, the less accumulation you're going to get. But overall, a pretty good blanket across Indiana of anywhere from 1 to perhaps 4 inches. Now, there is a little bit of a lack of moisture with this system, so some models may be overdoing things just a tad. So as such, we have a forecast out for Indiana here. We're going 2 to 4 further south. Further north, though, we're going to go a general 1 to 3 and a trace to 2 inches up there by Gary, just because of the southern nature, so to speak, of the system. The further north you go, and further west especially, the less snow you're going to get. So overall, general 1 to 4 inches, potentially higher amounts there in yellow. We see that highlighted. And the bulk of this is going to fall Friday afternoon and evening. So do expect your Friday evening commutes to be impacted across Indiana. A couple of things to talk about here. Aside from our forecast, we do have a current alert map here. Winter weather advisories in effect pretty much just north of Indianapolis, all the way south there to the border of Kentucky. In pink there, and also these counties over here, Gibson, Pike, Posey, Vandenberg, Warwick, and Spencer counties are in a winter storm warning as well. Those got upgraded here this afternoon, or this morning, should I say. So we'll have to get an updated map out when everybody issues their updated packages this afternoon. But overall, advisories, warnings, and some watches in effect here, anywhere from 1 to really 6 inches of snow in these watch and advisory areas. Again, further south you go, the higher amounts you're going to have. Outside of that, we also have a timing map for you guys. It'll be up on our page shortly in terms of snowfall arrival. It looks something like this. If I can find it right there. Perfect. This is going to be a map you're going to see quite often here at ISCN. This is your projected arrival time of the snow. So we're seeing up there by Gary and down there by Evansville, a 6 to 7 a.m. arrival time. They'll slowly move eastward through the morning. At the yellow zone, that's 8 to 9 a.m. This is Eastern time, not Central. This is Eastern time. And then green areas, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then further east, 12 p.m. and afterwards for Fort Wayne, Muncie, Richmond areas. A couple other things to talk about as well. We do have impact arrows that are going to be posted to the page to help you guys kind of plan around your day in terms of travel. We have a north zone, a central zone, and a south zone for you guys. So we do expect travel to be pretty much, it should be smooth sailing until we get to that afternoon, evening commutes, just because that's when the rush hour traffic hits. Also, the heaviest snowfall rates will hit as well. So we see it centered roughly around that, we're going to say, 4 and onward time frame. But for northern Indiana, it won't be too impactful. It could be more impactful, for example, in southern Indiana from the afternoon into the evening hours there for your traffic forecast. So keep that in mind if you are living in southern Indiana and going to be out on the roads. And the final thing I will touch on here is our traffic forecast that is already posted on our page. Most all of Indiana's roadways should be slow going just because snowfall, it's going to give us, it should slow you down just a bit. At least it should. Give yourself extra time to get places. Then all the interstates here across Indiana, both north and south, are in red just because we expect rush hour to be the most impacted time. All the traffic hits the roadways at the heaviest snowfall rates. We could see some slick roadways, some spin-offs, some slide-offs, some accidents, so on and so forth. So use caution if you are out on the Indiana interstates Friday evening. With that being said, did I miss anything, Caleb?
I don't think, though. There is another thing I want to touch bases on here real quick. Kind of go behind the scenes here a little bit here. Let me share my screen here. I want to show you here really what's going on, what's driving our weather system here. This is what we call the 500 millibar height chart. This is roughly 15,000 to 18,000 feet in our atmosphere. We call this the middle parts of the atmosphere. In this portion of the atmosphere, this is where a lot of the drive comes from. That drives our storm systems that we have here in the wintertime. There's two features here I want to draw your attention to here. You can kind of see it here. You have a large region of upper level spin here across the desert southwest, Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, and coming into Texas. This is our trough here. Imagine the jet stream coming down, digging deep into the, all the way down to the Mexican border before retreating north here a little bit and coming back out over by the Carolinas. But there's another piece right up here coming out of the Alberta Plains out in Canada, northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, up in those areas as well. Watch this piece here, right in here. This is Friday afternoon. What this is going to do, it's actually going to draw some moisture northward a little bit. Your cold front is going to be draped right along here from Wisconsin all the way down to Kansas, Oklahoma, and then tomorrow that'll move eastward as well. Your upper level low sitting right in here, right around Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, right in there. And that's going to slide off to the east. But as it does so, this cold front and this short wave up here is actually going to pull some moisture north here. And this is what we call phasing. Phasing is when you have these two areas of low pressure actually work together a little bit. And they're going to work together to allow a little bit more moisture to pull northward. Normally, these clipper systems and short waves lack a lot of moisture, and oftentimes they come through, they produce lake effect snow, but that's really about it. We don't generally get a lot of snow out of these systems. But because there's some phasing going on here, we actually tilt almost a little bit more neutral here, where your general tilt's more up and down versus right to left. But that's actually going to help draw some moisture up here to allow a good area of a blanket, really, of 2 to 3, perhaps 4 or 5 inches of snow across the Midwest. So that's our driving mechanism here behind our winter weather here. One of the go behind the scenes here to show you that. During our last winter storm, we had a Canadian high sitting right here, and that kept our low pressure suppressed. And that kept a lot of dry air up here and didn't allow a lot of moisture to ride up north. And that kept a lot of areas dry from, let's say, Kokomo, Muncie, and areas northward. Didn't see a lot of snow because of that Arctic high and that southward push of dry air. The atmosphere really wasn't able to saturate to allow those snowflakes to form. Most of the snowflakes that did form ended up evaporating and didn't come down to the ground. So not the case this time. Another thing to mention, this will not be a snowstorm, so to speak. This is actually a good old-fashioned snow. Snowfall rates are going to be rather light. Go back to the reflectivity here. Let me go back. There we go. Go back to Indiana here. Here we go. And we'll go back to 18Z. Here we go. So here's our snow moving in tomorrow morning. Here we are right around 9 o'clock in the morning. Snow starting to come into western Indiana, becoming widespread by the afternoon. This is 1 p.m. according to the HRRR. Notice your darker blues are still down here in the Tennessee Valley. Tennessee, Arkansas, perhaps Missouri, and northern Kentucky, and maybe southern Indiana. It really depends on how much moisture we have in this region here to really determine how heavy the snow is. But generally, the snowfall rates are actually going to be pretty light. It's going to be a light, steady snow throughout the entirety of this event. Snowfall rates could be a little bit heavier down here, but nothing like we saw last week. We don't expect that at all. Snow is going to gradually accumulate throughout the day before the snow gradually moves out here by the afternoon. Here we are at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Some light snow showers lingering perhaps across eastern Indiana, but the bulk of the snow will be out to our neighbors in Ohio. And then right around midnight, 1 in the morning, the snow is expected to be completely out of the state of Indiana. A few lingering snow showers, perhaps some lake effect snow showers affecting northern Indiana, but the bulk of the snow will be out of here. Snowfall rates being lighter in nature, probably by tomorrow evening. Most people can expect to see anywhere between 1 to 4 inches of snow, perhaps a few heavier amounts south of Indy Metro, across southwest Indiana and southeast Indiana, where they may get in on a little bit more moisture, but time will tell on that. Right now, the general consensus is anywhere between 1 to 4 inches of snow. Here's our snowfall map here. Pretty good blanket here. Totals are a little bit less across northwest Indiana. That's a portion of the state where moisture is expected to be a little bit less, and the snow duration is expected to be a little bit less up there as well. Snow is expected to be widespread up there, but only for a short, brief period of time before the cold front comes through and pushes everything off to the east and southeast. So that is a brief breakdown of this system here. Again, not too many impacts here. This won't be a packing snow. It'll be light and fluffy and powdery. So sorry, kids, won't be able to make a snowman with this stuff, but should bring some renewed sledding weather across the state as well. Get a fresh coat of powder out there. So,
and also one thing to mention, because this is a weaker system, winds are not too much of a concern with this. So no blowing, no drifting. Even if it is lighter snow, it's not going to be impactful in terms of reduced visibility and stuff like that. So
now winds will generally be light and variable between 0 and 5 miles an hour throughout the entirety of this event. So shouldn't have to worry about that at all.
I also want to point out we have a second system we're kind of watching in the Sunday time frame. Right now, we're still uncertain if Indiana's going to see major impact, not major, but impacts in general. But we do have a Clipper system that's going to move through Sunday night into Monday morning here. The bulk of this stays north, so our friends up in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, perhaps getting in on the snowfall for Sunday night. Perhaps northern Indiana, if we're lucky. But overall, that is trending to be to our north here.
Yeah, more than likely, this Clipper system will generate some lake effect snow across northern Indiana. But as with most Clipper systems like a lot of moisture. There's not a lot of moisture with this system, so Michigan will probably get the brunt of the snow, and a lot of that comes from lake enhancement as well, but snow totals will be light in general. Depending on how this tracks north or south, we'll see if northern Indiana gets any piece of the action or not. Otherwise, we could very well see this system go off to our north. We'll just have to wait and see. But the overall pattern going forward here looks to remain very active going through the rest of the month and into perhaps February as well. Very, very active pattern. And something else that I want to talk about here briefly behind this system is another shot of cold Arctic air that'll be moving in here next week behind this system. We have another potent trough ejection that'll be coming down out of Canada, and that'll bring renewed temperatures, especially at night with wind chills potentially sub-zero statewide perhaps into next week as well. So something else to keep an eye on. Hopefully, I know there's a few people still without power, believe it or not, across southwest Indiana. So hopefully those get restored here over the next couple of days. I know our power crews have been working tirelessly day in and day out here down there trying to get power restored to you guys after the ice storm. Hopefully that'll get renewed here over the next day or so.
And as Caleb mentioned, oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
As Caleb just mentioned, another blast of Arctic air coming in here. It's going to be cold. The next couple of several days, really, we're not going to rise above freezing, and especially around that mid-January time frame. Another shot of Arctic air, potentially below zero temperatures in the region, at least. Indiana stays single digits according to the model here. If you look up here to our north, we're seeing these frigid temperatures. And again, that's an Arctic blast that's going to be coming in here roughly around that 13th, 14th, 15th of January time frame. That could also usher in another couple of snow systems like Clippers and other things as well. So it's going to be a very interesting pattern into the mid-month time frame. That cold air is going to linger. And even this model does show Indiana getting into the single digits, if not below zero, for our air temperatures at this time frame as well. So the cold and snowy pattern that we've been talking about is here to stay. It's going to be here for quite a while, at least through the month end, perhaps into early February. We kind of kicked it off with our system a couple days ago. We're going to have another system tomorrow, and then potentially another one for Monday, and then it just keeps on coming every few days. You have a system passing through, it looks like. So active pattern continues here.
Yep. All right. With that, we'll go to the questions here. We'll try to keep this stream short and sweet for you guys. If you guys miss anything, feel free to go back to the beginning of the video here. We'll do a brief recap here before we sign out here. Let's see who's all in the comments here. We got Julie, Kevin, Jeannie. Great to see you guys. Thanks for joining us here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat here. Yeah, lots of sunshine out there today. It's been some time since the region has not had a cloud in the sky like we have today here. Another term used to describe this day is severe clear, where there's not a lot of clouds. This is thanks to a high pressure center moving through the region ahead of our winter system that'll be moving in here tomorrow. Do expect cloud cover to move back into the region here this evening into tonight. Tonight will be mostly cloudy across the state here ahead of our winter system that'll be moving in here tomorrow. So enjoy the sunshine now as cloud cover will begin to pick up and overspread the region here. Here's a look at visible satellite here. You can really see the snow cover here across much of the state here. Your darker shades there, that's a little bit lighter snow there. You can really see the sharp cutoff here as well. You can see all the river valleys where oftentimes those are laden with trees. Trees appear dark on your visible satellite as a lot of the snow falls through the tree branches, leaving the bare branches above. That's where you get your darker colors here. You can also see a couple heavier bands there, perhaps moving through, Muncie, Bluffton, Portland. Those areas got a little bit with another little band there west of Kokomo. Your heaviest snow there, really Anderson, Muncie, and areas south. You can see the sharp cutoff there where your brighter whites are. And then areas north of that, you can see where it gradually tapers off there. You can see them. Yep, right about there's your cutoff line there. Despite a few lake effect bands that came off the lake, you can see there's striations there. You can also see some darker shading there within the snowpack there north of Muncie, and that is a lot of it has to do with our plowed fields. Lighter snowfall totals fell on the fields. Sunlight has hit that soil, and therefore the latent heat has actually warmed up the soil and started to melt a little bit of the snow. So some of that's your bare dirt showing there as well. So interesting to see on visible satellite here. Won't get this nice of a picture tomorrow as we'll be laden with cloud cover. So enjoy the sunshine today, as we won't see it tomorrow. So how much is Vincennes looking at? Sorry, can't see the small letters on here. Right now, Vincennes is in the 2 to 4 inch range. Being in southern Indiana, a few isolated reports of 4+ inches are possible down there as well. From Vincennes all the way over to Richmond in area southward. Wouldn't be surprised to see a 5-inch report in there, embedded in there somewhere. Snowfall rates are going to be generally on the lighter side. An inch an hour or less for most people across the state. This isn't going to be a heavy wet snow. It's going to be really light and fluffy. And accumulations are not going to occur very quickly. It's going to be a real gradual accumulation day. By the end of the day, we expect areas to see 2 to 4 inches by probably 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So it'll be a real slow accumulation, which will help our road conditions. It'll allow INDOT and our plow crews to keep up on the roads the best they can. That should help mitigate many severe travel issues like we saw the other night. So should be a lighter, fluffier snow for most. All right. Any other questions here? While you guys are doing that, I'll do a brief synopsis here. Snowfall is looking to move into the region tomorrow between 7 and 9 a.m. across western Indiana before overspreading the state by early afternoon. 1 p.m., the entire state will probably be seeing some light snowfall before slowly moving out of the region. A cold front will be kicking the snow out of the state from the northwest, starting across northwest Indiana, probably late afternoon. And then by about 10, 11 o'clock at night, most of the snow will be out of the state and moving into Ohio, if not moving out of western Ohio. By midnight, we're looking clear, despite a few scattered snow showers remaining behind the cold front and some lake effect across northern Indiana. That is the brief timing for this system here. Again, snowfall rates will be rather light, so do expect a gradual snow, kind of an old-fashioned snow system here with this. No wind, no heavy snow, just a nice, light, gradual powder snow. Winds expected to stay light. Meandering, not really out of a general direction, just kind of meandering between calm and 5 miles an hour as this cold front moves through. So drifting and blowing is not looking to be a concern here with this system. Winds do pick up Friday night a little bit out of the northwest behind our cold front here. So that may intend to blow some snow around a little bit for Saturday morning. Other than that, no real major concerns with that.
Also, going back to your snowfall rate comment, the 1 hour inch per rate that I see peaking here is in southern Indiana, roughly about a 1/2 inch an hour in places, according to the model. So that's about as heavy as you're going to get. That's also why we have the 2 to 4 zone a little bit further south, just because the rates could be a little bit higher down there.
Yep.
So keep that
Perhaps
in
a
mind too.
little
The
bit
south
more
range.
moisture there across southern Indiana. Again, our moisture rates are not that heavy. We're not really seeing a lot of precipitable water, and a lot of that has to do with our colder air temperatures, but also the bulk of the moisture will be associated with our southern piece of energy crossing across Arkansas, Georgia, and areas across the south. They'll see some heavier snowfall rates down there. So if you know anybody traveling south here tomorrow, expect some delays on area highways going south, especially 75, as there could be some travel issues further south. So,
with that being said, I don't see any more questions in here, so I think we're good to hop out of here, Caleb, if you want to.
yeah. Again, thanks for joining us here. If you guys missed anything, or feel free to go back to the beginning of this video here, replay it there. We covered timing, snowfall rates, snow amounts, and impacts. Again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.